Welcome to Oulton Park for round 12 of the 2017 Mini 7 Championship Damp Circuit as the cars head onto the grid in front of what is a large crowd assembled as part of the Mini Festival weekend. 4 times champion Paul Spark sits on pole position with Dan Budd alongside. Row 2 of the grid is Joe Thompson and Lewis Selby, with row 3 being Don Berger and the reigning champion Ashley Davies. Race 1 winner Darren Thomas has Charlie Budd for company on row number 3, and Sean Talton, the leading S-Class car, is alongside Spencer Wanstall on row number 5. This grid based on the fastest laps from the race earlier on over the course of the weekend, and with all of the cars assembled, the damp circuit, some windscreen wipers going, lights go out. It's a good start from Paul Spark from the front row of the grid. A fantastic start from Don Berger on row number 3. He's propelling his car into the gap where Joe Thompson should have sat on the grid, but his car was not present, so they work their way through Oulton Corner for the first time, and Don Berger goes through into second position, then goes rally crossing on the grass on the outside. He's not the only one, because Gareth Hunt gets very, very sideways indeed, and as they head along the avenue and down towards Denton's and Cascades for the first time, this enormous field of cars is being headed by Lewis Selby in the lead of the race, who has got himself through and ahead now of Paul Spark, who sits there in second place. Ashley Davies in third. It's going to be the car of Charlie Budd there in fourth place, and by the look of things, the fast starting Don Berger is actually down to fifth place at the moment and coming under pressure from Spencer Wanstall. There is the leading S-Class car, that being Sean Talton. He can, in this race, tie up the S-Class Championship if he's going well. Well, at the moment, he is doing as best as he could possibly do. He is leading his class and is mixing it amongst the main 1000cc modified cars at the wheel of his very much standard 1275cc machine. Safely out of Druids and down underneath the Warwick Bridge for the first time. Lewis Selby looking to try and break the toe on those behind. He hasn't quite managed to do so, but in these very, very greasy and tricky conditions, he has got right in his wheel tracks the 4 times champion Paul Spark, the reigning champion Ashley Davies sitting there in fourth place, coming under pressure still from Don Berger. His good start didn't really come to a great deal. That is a very, very sideways James Bull by the look of things, running in the Mini 7 S-Class, bouncing over the curbs and the grass on the exit of what was Lodge Corner, but the leading pair together as they head round through Old Hall. Elsewhere down through the order, Sean Talton still having to stick his elbows out to try and hang on to the lead of the Mini 7 S-Class. Nick Croydon-Fowler has other ideas about it, as off and onto the grass and just about avoiding the barriers. That looked as though that was the number 47 car of Dan Budd that had the moment. So he has tumbled well down towards the tail end of the order now, as the race leaders again are threading their way up towards what is Knickerbrook. Lewis Selby still under pressure from Paul Spark. Lewis Selby, who we have seen claim wins so far this year. Lewis claimed double wins at the first couple of rounds of the championship, scored victory in round 5 and 6 as well. But out of the race, unfortunately, is Dan Budd, who started on the front row of the grid. And now Lewis Selby has had his pocket picked. It's Paul Spark who goes back through to take up the lead of the race. 4 times a champion, Paul Spark. He won the championship back in 2010, 2011, 2012 and in 2015. And he's coming under pressure from Lewis Selby, who is looking to try and draw himself alongside once more. He's on the outside line though, heading up towards Lodge Corner, and they need to try and make sure they close the door as well, because Charlie Budd, the championship leader, trying to sneak his way through, as is the reigning champion Ashley Davies. So safely out of what is Lodge Corner, up towards Dearly, over the start-finish line. Another lap chalked into the book, and it's still Paul Spark that continues to lead this race. Lewis Selby in the purple car looking ever menacing in second place. It's sort of 5 for the lead, isn't it, in reality? Spark from Selby, then it's Charlie Budd in what is third position. Ashley Davies, the reigning champion, there in fourth place, and Spencer Wanstall is at the tail end of the lead quintet of cars. They go through the yellow flag area, where unfortunately Dan Budd retired, and start to head down through Cascades Corner. Paul Spark still heading the pack. Don Berger is there in 6th position, but he's got Gareth Hunt by the look of things, the orange car for company, who sits there in 7th position. Up towards Knickerbrook they'll go, still with this great fight going on between the lead 5. There's Don Berger and Gareth Hunt, and there now is the change for the Mini 7 S-Class lead. Car number 777, Nick Croydon-Fowler, has gone through and ahead by the look of things of the car that was leading the class. That, of course, was Sean Talton, who could still stitch up the championship in this race. Through the right-hander at Druids they'll go. Lewis Selby having to attack and defend at the same time. He's trying to get himself up onto terms with Paul Spark whilst trying to keep the aspirations of Charlie Budd at bay. And now you can see Lewis Selby moving around, protecting that all-important inside line. And by the look of things, it looks as though Charlie Budd has now got trying to squeeze up his inside Ashley Davies, and Lewis Selby thought he'd closed the door. Charlie Budd goes through. Lewis Selby down into third place, and now coming under attack from Ashley Davies, who is bringing with him Spencer Wanstall all of the time, whilst the car in 6th place. Don Berger now is beginning to close in. It was 5 for the lead It's almost 6 now because Don Berger has nearly caught the lead pack as they go through Oulton corner and on towards the avenue once more. Race leader just managing to stay within the confines of the circuit. Spencer Wanstall this time has got the overlap on Lewis Selby. The two of them side by side. The blue car is Spencer Wanstall, the purple car is Lewis Selby, but he's on the outside line as they head down through Cascade, so he has little choice but to tuck himself back in towards 5th place once more, and now that has allowed the lead 3 just to make a little bit of a break now between themselves and Lewis Selby, who's there in 4th place. So it's 3 for the lead. Lewis Selby under attack from Spencer Wanstall. Don Berger will be relishing this. He's just begun to close in, hasn't he, as they turn their way out of Knickerbrook. And further down through the order, there's some good fights going on as well. Car number 27, Leon Window, tried to attack James Bull, whilst also being under attack himself from car number 742, which is Ben Butler behind. So keep an eye towards that one. Ben Butler currently running 4th in the Mini 7S class at this stage in the race, the class that is being led at the moment by Nick Croydon-Fowler, whilst Sean Tolton potentially could claim the Mini 7S class championship for the very much standard 1275cc cars. Side by side for 2nd place, Ashley Davies under attack from Paul Spark, who's trying to squeeze the number 35 car up the inside, but Ashley Davies having none of it, the man from Abergavenny. And all of the time, whilst these two squabble, it's just allowing Charlie Budd to pull away in the lead of the race. We've seen Charlie on the 2nd and 3rd steps of the podium. We've not seen him claim a win so far this year. We're side by side also for 4th and 5th place as Lewis Selby is able to squeeze through and by Spencer Wanstall. And now Spencer Wanstall is coming under attack from the next of the cars, which is the green car with its white flashes to it in the hands of Don Berger. Spencer Wanstall still side by side with Lewis Selby, and is he going to go back through? He lost the place at Old Hall Corner. Yeah, he's retaken it by the time they get down in towards the braking area at the bottom of Cascades. So continually chopping and changing. Minis have always provided over more than 50 years of great racing in the Mini 7 Racing Club, and well, no exception to that here at Oulton Park in still very tricky conditions, which are just starting to brighten a little bit more now. The race leader heading round through the top of Clay Hill and in towards the braking area for Druids Corner, where they really do just throw the cars in towards the double apex right-hander. There is Gareth Hunt under pressure from the car that still leads the Mini 7S class at this stage, which is Nick Croydon-Fowler. But whilst he leads the class, Sean Tolton at the moment in 2nd place is mathematically, if they stay where they are, going to be, subject to official confirmation, the champion in that class this year. As out of Lodge Corner up towards Deerleap comes our race leader Charlie Budd, still continuing to lead the race here in Cheshire, and you can see that he now for the first time has a little bit of breathing space between himself and what is Ashley Davies, who's there in 2nd position. Lewis Selby still under attack from Don Berger, and this is Leon Window diving up the inside of James Bull's Mini 7S class, whilst James Bull now needs to close the door to prevent car number 742 Ben Butler coming through, and that little trio who've been pretty much inseparable all race are now getting caught by the yellow car. That's Julian Affleck. So great fights going on down towards the tail end of the field, and this is going to be something like 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th places as they turn their way through Old Hall Corner. Ben Butler, with his hands full, has been able to pick the pocket also of James Bull, who's dropped 2 places over the course of a couple of corners there. Windscreen wipers still going, still suggesting that the circuit maybe has a little bit of moisture on it. Leon Window is at the front end of that little train of cars, and at the moment destined for 9th position if he can hang on to it, but Ben Butler has other ideas at the wheel of his S-Class Mini. Underneath the Warwick Bridge comes our overall race leader. It is still Charlie Budd that leads the race, but coming under an ever-increasing amount of pressure from Ashley Davies, who has been able to close the gap over the course of the last few laps. Here is our Mini 7S class leader, car number 777, comfortably leading that class at the moment for the standard 1275cc cars. That is Nick Croydon-Fowler. Sean Tolton in 2nd in that class, though. Looks as though he might be heading towards a championship here at Oulton Park. Race leaders still very much together through the right-hander at Old Hall Corner. And now rallycrossing his way on the exit of the corner, that's Paul Spark all over the grass, gets back onto the tarmac, but surely Spencer Wanstall will squeeze his way through. Indeed he does. The runner-up from the championship last year gains the place, and Ashley Davies is sideways down through the bottom of Cascades as he looks to try and apply the pressure to Charlie Budd. Ashley Davies, who's already had 3 wins so far this season. Charlie Budd, who is leading the championship, has been Mr. Consistent but hasn't had an overall race victory. And as they go side by side and pretty much nose to tail then on the exit of Knickerbrook, up Clay Hill they'll go once more, and well, Charlie Budd is punching the hole in the air for Ashley Davies to begin to close it. And if they squabble, don't rule out the fact that Spencer Wanstall, Paul Spark and Lewis Selby, the next little trio, aren't that far behind. They slow each other up, we'll have 5 for the lead once more, but as it is currently, it's a pair, then a gap, then a trio, and then a much larger gap towards the car that sits there still in 6th position, which is Gareth Hunt, by the look of things, the orange car that completes the top 6. But the leaders just heading their way out of Lodge, up towards Deer League once more, and Charlie Budd looking to try and hang on to the lead of the race, despite the enormous pressure that's beginning to build behind him at this stage. Ashley Davis closing up. Spencer Wanstall now looking to try and pull away from the next pair behind, which is Paul Spark in 4th, and Lewis Selby in 5th place. And this time it's Spencer Wanstall that runs a little bit wide coming out of Old Hall Corner, as the leaders get themselves pretty much nose to tail again heading down through Cascades Corner. Charlie Budd still leads from Ashley Davies in 2nd position. There's a sideways Lewis Selby in 5th position, all over the grass on one side of the circuit, onto the grass on the other. Lots of opposite lock, plants his foot firmly into the footwell to try and drag the front-wheel drive car out of the skid, and well, he's hung on to 5th position. He's not lost a place. What he has lost, however, is a lot of time to the cars that he was doing battle with. Further down through the order, Leon Window still busy squabbling away with Ben Butler, and now the yellow car, which is Julian Affleck, has fully caught them up as well. So this is going to be for what will be 4th and 5th in the Mini 7S class, with Leon Window's main championship class running car just that little bit further ahead. But it's been a busy old race for Ben Butler. In a couple of places his car is just bearing the scars of what's been quite a hard-fought race. And at the front of the pack it is Ashley Davis, who again is looking to try and put himself through and ahead of Charlie Budd. They head up towards Deer League. Charlie Budd driving as defensively but as fairly as he possibly can, and as they come over the start-finish line, it is still Charlie Budd that somehow is hanging on to the lead of the race. He hasn't put a wheel wrong just as yet, and in these tricky damp conditions that is a feat in its own. Out of Old Hall Corner, Budd leads. It is going to be still Ashley Davies in 2nd place, then it is the charging car in 3rd place of Spencer Wanstall as they head down through the avenue, through Denton's, down in towards Cascades, and well, Ashley Davis this time takes a wide run in towards Foster's to try and cut back on the exit and give him the inside line as they head towards Knickerbrook. And is it going to work side by side through Knickerbrook? I don't think that Charlie Budd can turn in, no, because he sees that the reigning champion is to his right hand side, so he has to give him the room, and as a result of that they head up Clay Hill, still pretty much together, with Spencer Wanstall getting a good run in 3rd place coming out of Knickerbrook. Can he squeeze his way through and ahead of the reigning champion? No, not quite. The order actually remains exactly the same. It is still Charlie Budd that leads the race. It's still Ashley Davis, last year's champion, in 2nd place. Spencer Wanstall in 3rd place. 4 times champion Paul Spock sitting there in 4th place. And Lewis Selby, after his moment down at the bottom section of the circuit, a somewhat distant 5th place, and has got work to do if he wants to catch the lead quartet, who are about to conclude yet another lap here. Another lap that is being led by Charlie Budd, desperate for his first win of the season. Ashley Davis in 2nd position is hugely keen to try and chalk up for him what would be win number 4 of the season. Spencer Wanstall is not going to give up his aspirations on a race victory. He finished 3rd in the race earlier on over the course of this weekend. That, the runner-up from last year, it was only his 2nd podium visit of the season so far. So the lead trio down through Cascades. Ashley Davies looking very racy, takes a wide sweep heading in towards Foster's to try and get the inside line heading up in towards Knickerbrook, and this time I think he's unlocked the door, has he, to the lead of the race. Again they'll go side by side through the right-hander. Charlie Budd braving it out around the outside, but Ashley Davies driving fairly and giving him room. Spencer Wanstall sitting in the slipstream of the champion from last year. And as they now head up Clay Hill and in towards Druids, we are still side by side. All the way around the outside at Druids goes Charlie Budd. He is not going to give up the lead of the race easily, but gets a little bit sideways on the way out and eventually has no choice but to tuck himself back behind the champion from last year. He's now picking up the tow, weaving from side to side. Ashley Davis moves from one side of the circuit to the other to take as wide a line in towards the right-hander at Lodge Corner as he can. So for the first lap in many, it is not Charlie Budd that leads this time as they come over the start-finish line. It's Ashley Davis who leads, but Charlie Budd is drawing himself alongside this time as they head up towards Old Hall Corner, and it's going to be Charlie Budd who goes back into the lead of the race as Ashley Davis tries to brave it out around the outside and retakes the lead back once more, runs wide on the exit of the corner, so it's almost 3 wide now, and Spencer Wanstall can't quite decide what to do. Moves one way, moves the other, and it is Charlie Budd that somehow is back in the lead of the race. Ashley Davis is still in 2nd place, and it is still Spencer Wanstall in 3rd position, with Paul Spark now having closed up to make it absolutely a quartet for the lead of the race. Again we're side by side heading up towards Knickerbrook, and poor old Spencer Wanstall looking one way, looking the other, but every time he thinks about pulling a move, the lead pair are side by side once more. Up towards Clay Hill they'll go, as further down through the order Leon Window now has gained another place. He's got himself ahead of Andy Dickinson, so that is now up into 9th place for Leon Window, down to 10th for Andy Dickinson, who's having to stick his elbows out here if he wants to hang on to 3rd in what is the Mini 7S class. So as for Charlie Budd, right towards the front end of the field, it certainly looks as though he has got more work to do here, because Ashley Davis is again surely going to attack as they head out of Lodge Corner, but time and laps are running out for Ashley Davis, and for Charlie Budd, he is more ever on course to try and claim his victory. On to the last lap of the race they'll go. Ashley Davis has now just got 1.654 miles to see what he might be able to do to unlock the door to the lead of the race. He's thrown pretty much everything at it. For everything that he has thrown at it, Charlie Budd so far has had a response, and I'm sure that Ashley Davis still has perhaps 1 or 2 things up his sleeves. There's a change for what is 6th position. Gareth Hunt back into 6th place, back ahead of Nick Croydon-Fowler once more as we head down in towards the bottom section of the circuit, and Ashley Davis runs wide this time, heading out of Foster's, and that allows up the inside Spencer Wanstall. So all of the time Ashley Davis has been trying to attack, he then makes a very slight mistake and drops down into 3rd position, and for Spencer Wanstall this would be his best finish of the season so far, last year's runner-up in the championship. But for Charlie Budd, surely he will just be able to hang on to this race. As long as he's neat and tidy through Druids, they will pick up a tow as they head down in towards the braking area for Lodge, but he just needs to make sure he positions the car appropriately. He's got enough daylight behind at this stage as to ensure that as long as he gets a good run coming out of Lodge Corner, I don't think Spencer Wanstall will catch him on the run to the line. Out to the right hand they'll go, up towards Deerleaf. The checkered flag is ready, and it is going to be a debut win in the Mini 7 Championship for Charlie Budd. Comes through and wins the race. He looks pleased with that, doesn't he? Punching the air with delight. It's Spencer Wanstall's best result of the season. And for Nick Croydon-Fowler, he is going to come through and claim top honours in the Mini 7S class, but the championship, subject to official confirmation, looks as though it's going the way of Sean Oulton. So through comes Gareth Hunt, he finishes in 6th place, and the Mini 7S class is captured by Nick Croydon-Fowler. That's his first Mini 7S class win of the season, and what has been a great debut weekend for him in 2017. So the cars making their way around the circuit on the slowing down lap. The pristine condition supported car of Charlie Budd claiming its first victory of the season, and he will be absolutely chuffed with that, as will the team. And of course for Spencer Wanstall, 2nd place, that's his best result of the season so far. Ashley Davis is there in 3rd place, ahead of Paul Spark in 4th. Lewis Selby and Gareth Hunt complete the top 6. The Mini 7S class honours go the way this time of Nick Croydon-Fowler, ahead of Sean Oulton, who, subject to confirmation in 8th place, will be the champion. The drivers heading towards the podium. It's a delighted Charlie Budd who stands on the top step of the podium and is about to celebrate at Oulton Park.
Yeah, it was great fun. You know, it's the first win of this championship, and it's my 3rd year now, so it's a long time coming. I really enjoyed myself. You know, great race. Hats off to the guys. It's tricky conditions out there, and we didn't trade paint at all. So it's exactly how it should be.
It was challenging conditions out there. However, you know, my autograss background I think gave me a bit of an advantage out there because I'm used to the slippery conditions. But you know, it was good fun. More of a challenge than in the dry, less of a challenge when it's completely wet. You know, so it was challenging conditions today. Yeah.
Good race, very close all the way through. There was literally nothing I could do about Charlie. He drove a superb race. Yeah, I made a mistake on the last lap and lost a position, but it happens unfortunately. And when it's that close, it's really hard work.